Hello students, welcome to the last session of the June month current affairs series. And in this session, as we always do, that is, we will discuss science and technology, then art and culture, and finally we'll end with defense, right? Okay, so that is science and tech, art and culture, and finally the defense. Starting with the science and tech. So first we'll have some plant diseases. First one is shield blight disease. Okay, blight disease. So this is in a rice plant. So it's a fungal disease in the rice that can cause up to 60% reduction in the rice yield. So the question can come, only very easy questions come from this, right? That is, they'll give you the name of the disease and they will try to find out which is the agent, bacteria, virus, fungus, like that. And the plant, rice plant, not wheat or something like that. Okay. So the cycle is very easy. It's a basically crop based cycle. So they are saying that infected debris or sclerotia from the previous cropping season floating on the surface, it infects the plant, then it goes into the plant, it goes into the tissue, then it spreads among the tissue. Okay, it starts to appear and finally it goes upward and infects the whole plant. Finally from this it drops into the water and the next cycle starts. Okay, so that is why it becomes really tough to um, contain this. You need fungicides to tackle this problem. Next is the same with the rice, that is rice blast. Okay, rice blast. So rice blast is a fungus caused by a fungus. Not an important name, is not too much important, just need to remember by fungus, one of the major disease of the rice crop. Now in researchers from ICAR and National Rice Research Institute NRRI Odisha have mapped out the diverse genes in the rice that can help the disease resistance. So they are researching how to fight against this disease. So they are mapping out the diverse genes in the rice that can help in the disease resistance, so that finally we can put out those genes into the rice and the rice becomes self resistant against the disease itself. Okay, so we already had 7 blast endemics occurred in India. We have more than 7 blast endemics, right? And it affects our food security. Very objectively, you have to keep very objective. Rice blast, rice, it's the name itself, rice, and then fungal disease. So it is saying leaf blast, node blast, panic blast, and the collar blast, different places where it can impact the rice crop. Next is CCR5. What is CCR5? CCR5 is basically a gene. So why in the news, Chinese scientists have created the world's first gene edited babies experiment, in which he sought to immunize a pair of twins from HIV by tinkering in a gene. So they have a twin and they are working on them. So they want to immunize them with from HIV, so that these babies do not face HIV problem itself, right? So they have tinkered with this gene name CCR5, remember that. However, the problem is coming, if they tinker with this CCR5 gene, then it will deactivate the gene which makes it it will protect against the HIV, but it will make them more susceptible to the West Nile fever, another disease. Okay, West Nile fever, right? What I'm planning is to give you, finally we'll have the monthly, we'll covering many diseases, but finally I'm planning to give you a catalog of the disease itself. Slowly over the months we'll build up a catalog and finally I'll give you a catalog. So Chinese CSIR PR twins might have, we will learn about this in the next class itself. That is C9, the gene cutter, right? Very important. UPSC has already asked question on that. So twin might have had their brains inadvertently enhanced. So they are talking about the CCR5 gene. Next is hypoglycemia. What is hypoglycemia? So hypoglycemia is when the level of glucose in the blood falls below the normal. Okay, so it is usually done to an overdose of insulin in the children with the diabetics. So the diabetes type A1, diabetes 2 is different. Okay, somewhere down the line we'll cover that. For example, diabetes 2 is more result of the, that's more common type of diabetes and that result of the lifestyle disease. Diabetes 1 is a different problem. Okay, that diabetes 1 is majorly can happen to the people right from the childhood itself. Okay, so if there is a overdose of insulin, then it causes the problem of hyperglycemia. So solution, so you give them an oral sugar or glucose solution easily available. 5% glucose solution is sufficient. So why it's in the news? It was in the news that, yes, just one second. Yes. So two more children die of hypoglycemia in the Bihar's Muzaffar. Death toll rises to 43. So it was too much in the news in the June month that people are dying. That is glycemia, abnormal low level of sugar in the blood and deficiency of sodium potassium in the body. However, here the case is a bit different. It is different. Now here the problem is of hypoglycemic encephalopathy. Okay. So what they are saying is basically it is combination with this other disease. It is also known as the Jamaican vomiting disease. It's a form of the hypoglycemic. It's the form. Just one second. Yeah. It's a form of the hypoglycemic encephalopathy. It's very tricky term. Encephalopathy. I'm really sorry. It is triggered when the unripe acne fruits are taken, and one of the example is lychee. Now you remember lychee scare was there in the June month. Okay, so these fruits contain a substance called methylene cyclopropyl alanine. This much thing you should not remember. Just remember that these acne fruits were there, which blocks a biochemical process called fatty acid oxidation. Okay, so which creates this disease, Jamaican vomiting disease, right? And acne and lychee belong to the one plant family. So that is why a lot of blame was given to the lychee family, lychee plant, for the Muzaffarnagar children death. Okay. Next is brucellosis. That is a bacterial infection. The mode of transmission is from animal to the people. It can be transferred. Why transfer? Mostly by the unpasteurized dairy product, right? If you see one milk packet, you can see pasteurized milk, right? If it is unpasteurized, it become probability of this disease can be high. So brucellosis is the name given to the bacterial infection, which basically is a contracted from animals due to consumption of the unpasteurized dairy product, right? Symptoms can, what are symptoms? Fever, chills, weakness, lethargy, headache, similar symptoms, but remember it's a bacterial disease. Next is another viral disease, that is food and mouth disease. Now this disease is really important because in India we lose lot of animal resources, animal assets, livestock resources because of this disease. Okay, so it's a virus contagious animal disease. Who are susceptible? The cloven footed animals, including the domestic and the wilds. Bovines are really susceptible and vulnerable to this. So what will be the name from itself? Foot and mouth disease. Okay, so the same symptoms you can see, other sign, fever, weight loss, tongue and the mouth blisters will be there, reduced food intake, a lesion of blisters here at here where they produce the milk. Okay, and finally in the foot itself, the problem of blisters and lameness. Okay, so India gears up to take the food and mouth disease head on, and we have a food and we have programs to deal with this thing. You can see here the blisters, right? For the disease you will have these very difficult images, right? So blisters here and on the mouth, and this creates a lot of problem for the farmers, those who um, livestock issues they face, right? So that reduced to the reduction of the livestock assets. Next is anthrax. So anthrax is a disease caused by the a bacillus anthracis, a germ that lives in the soil. Animals such as cattle, sheep, goat are often more often than people, affected people, right? It spreads. It does not spread directly from one infected animal or person to the other. It is spread by the spores. It's spread by the spores. So it needs a vector. Okay. Anthrax can be contracted in laboratory accident or by handling the infected animal or their wounds or the hides. Now, if you see, so basically it is saying that it produces a the bacteria known as Bacillus anthracis produces a dormant spores, not active, that can live in environment like soil for long. Now, when the spores get into the body of an animal, then it becomes active. They become activated and turn active. And when they become active, the bacteria can multiply and spread out in the body, produces toxins and can cause severe illness or even death. Okay. Next is monkeypox. So monkeypox is basically similar to the smallpox, similar to the human smallpox, belongs to the virus family Poxviridae. Not important. Spread, it transmitted primarily through the infected animals, that is through infected animals, that is rodents and the primates. Human to human transmission is possible. What you have to remember in any disease, first, it is virus, bacteria, fungus, or anything other, protozoa or something. Next, affecting whom? Animal, human. Third, animal to animal possible, or animal to human possible, or human to human possible or not. Fourth, what are the symptoms, if any significant symptoms of there? For example, Zika virus has significant symptoms, significant effect, how it affects. Okay. Next is, are there any government initiatives with respect to that? And that's it. So virus for monkeypox virus transmitted to those in the close contact through secretion of the respiratory tract and the skin liaison. Very common way of transmission of the disease itself. This year coronavirus is too much in news, right? Recently WHO declared coronavirus as its pandemic. We'll discuss coronavirus in detail, but that is why the disease becomes relevant for UPSC exam. UPSC may not ask about coronavirus, but it can ask about Nipah virus, it can ask about Zika virus, Ebola, and these things again become relevant. Now, monkeypox, while the disease itself largely self-limiting, in some cases it does cause complications leading to the death. It leads to the death even. During monkeypox outbreaks, the fatality varies from 1 to 10%, and mostly deaths seen in the younger people. Okay. Remedy, WHO says that similar remedy for smallpox vaccination can be there for the monkeypox itself, where monkeypox occurs sporadically in the central and the West African region. So, more affected by the African region. Okay. And the cases has been reported from 10 African countries. It was first identified in the human in 1970 in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the disease has now become an endemic. And you know how this disease spreads now, right, in the whole world, because of this globalization and movement of people, unrestricted movement of people, and that creates a lot of problem. It hardly takes a time to become an endemic to become a pandemic. So finally, this is a rare viral disease occurring in the South and West and the Central Africa. It is mostly spread by the wild animal or through preparation and consumption of the infected bushmeat. Human to human transmission is limited and requires close contact with the respiratory tract or the skin liaison of the infected people. Infection remains low risk in the Singapore, not be important Singapore thing. Okay. Next is API, very important, active pharmaceutical ingredient. Now I'll tell you what API is. So basically, if you buy a medicine, that medicine has a brand name, right? A brand name and basically one API. API is basically the thing which is acting as the base material or the foundation of it. That's it. So they are the constituents of the drug that are responsible for the effect produced by the drug. So any effect, but the brand name is not producing any effect, right? The basically which is the API. That, for example, paracetamol is a API. On the basis of paracetamol, different medicines are there. Crocin is there, right? Dolo is there. There are many medicines you take. Okay. So paracetamol is the API. So they are the constituent of the drug that are responsible for the effect produced by these drugs. Other constituents of the drug called excipient are chemically inactive substance which help carry API to the body system or the target organ, right? So there will be one API and then there will be one delivery system. So those other things in the drug are the delivery system that affect that particular area where the problem is there. Okay. So now what problem India is facing now, we have the distinction of being the generic powerhouse of the world, generic medicine powerhouse of the world. However, the problem we are facing is with respect to the API production is very poor in India. We are too much dependent on the China. We are too much dependent on the China for the, just 1 second. We are too much dependent on the China for the input, and that is what we want to reduce. In the Niti Aayog action agenda, they also mention that we are too much, around 80 to 90% of our API comes from the China itself. So if we are dependent on the China for this very basic stuff, that goes to show our dependability on the China and the problems in our manufacturing sector itself. So, okay, so the chemical and fertilizer ministry has joined hands with the other ministry to draw up a roadmap for increasing the API, production of API. For that purpose, a committee was set up, that is Katoch committee. Katoch committee was set up, right? And still their recommendations are pending with the ministry. Okay, so just remember Katoch committee for the API. Okay. Next, India's first proton therapy center. So opened in Chennai for the treatment of the cancer. Okay, is the name of the center is Apollo Proton Cancer Center. So launched by the Apollo Hospital. Apollo, right? The pharmacy and all these things are there. It is South Asia's first such center. India became the 16th country in the world, not the first, to offer the therapy. So we'll offer a proton therapy for the treatment of the cancer, basically. What is proton therapy? It is a type of a radiation therapy which uses the protons rather than the X-rays to treat the cancer. Okay. So remember, which uses the protons instead of the X-rays, and obviously it will be better. That is why it is set up. Okay. So South Asia's first proton therapy center opened in the Chennai. You can see Apollo Proton Therapy Center. Okay. Next is Nipah virus. So it's a zoonotic disease that is transmitted from animal to human, that can be transmitted from animal to the human. That is zoonotic disease that causes severe disease in the both animal and the human. Background: first identified in 1999 during the outbreak among the pig farmers in the Malaysia and the Singapore. Okay, Nipah is basically a place in Malaysia. The food bats of the particular genus are the natural reservoir of Nipah. Okay, effect: it may lead to coma or even the death. One of my friend herein was telling me that Nipah, he was comparing Nipah and the corona. He was telling me that Nipah was really very dangerous. If someone is infected with Nipah, the probability of the death increases multiple times as compared to corona. And as you can see, currently no vaccine is available to treat it, right? Okay, so viruses are found in the countries which were never saw an outbreak, such as Thailand, and only known outbreaks have been Malaysia, Bangladesh, and India. Nipah is situated in the Malaysia, as I was telling you, and you can see these coasts have been infected by this Nipah virus. In the Kerala, faced a lot of problem of Nipah virus and death due to Nipah virus. There was a case of a nurse who was treating the people, and she also died of this particular Nipah virus. In India, you can see more prominent in Kerala and some of the cases in the Siliguri, okay, in West Bengal. Mortality rate of 70%. For corona, mortality rate is said to be around, if you remember, 2% or 1%. It spreads to human bats, human to human transaction are also likely. So animal to human obviously, and human to human also there, and no vaccine available. Requires intensive supportive care for the humans, right? Next is Resilient Kerala program. Now this program is not basically related to science and tech, but I've just covered it. So Resilient Kerala program, Government of India and Government of Kerala and World Bank. Just remember, World Bank is there. It should be in the governance portion. Okay, but I just missed out there, so I'm just covering here. Have signed a loan agreement of $250 million. The program, which represents the maiden state partnership of World Bank of India. Okay. It is the first two development policy operations to mainstream disaster and the climate resilience into the critical infrastructure in the service. So basically, remember, Resilient Kerala program is for the disaster and the climate resilience. From the PIB news itself, you can see. Just one second. Yeah. So first Resilient Kerala program. So Government of India, Kerala and World Bank have signed this 250 then to fight against the impact of the natural disaster and the climate change. Okay. The background of is that is saying 2018 Kerala flood and landslide, right? It led to a lot of loss of human life, livelihood loss, and the loss of the home and all these things. Next is some space news, that is International Space Station. Now India is also planning to have its own International Space Station. So what it is a space station or habitable artificial satellite where the people can go, where people can live. Must have seen some of the images, really good images. It is in the low Earth orbit in 1998 and expected to work till 2030. Okay. In the low Earth orbit, sometimes can be seen by the naked eye itself. My friend told me that in US there are some areas where you can see it ISS. There's some specific location and a specific time from which you can see International Space Station. Some serves as a microgravity and space environmental research laboratory. So if something is up there working in a natural zero gravity environment, it can serve as a hub for the future programs. For example, India Mars Chandrayaan-2 went, right? So better monitoring can be done not from the Earth itself, from the space station itself. Now India is planning to have its own space station in the space, right? So International Space Station is not only the single venture of NASA, okay? So it's a joint product of the 5 participating agencies like NASA of USA, Roscosmos from Russia, JAXA from Japan, ESA from Europe, and CSA from Canada. China launches first experimental space station, Tiangong. So remember, if the question comes Tiangong 1, so Tiangong 1 is the experimental space station of India. Oh, sorry, from China. I told you India is planning. So it looks like something like this. Okay. If you're interested, you can watch the movie like Gravity. It's a really good movie. Some people say that the Gravity has less budget than the our Mars orbital mission. Has more budget, sorry. So the movie has more budget than our own mission that went to the Mars. Next is LESA, Lunar Evacuation System Assembly. Okay, Lunar Evacuation System Assembly. So first of all, remember it's by ESA, not by NASA. Okay. So Lunar Evacuation System Assembly, it's a pyramid-like structure whose purpose is to rescue an astronaut should he or she suffer an injury on a lunar surface. So it will be a pyramid-like structure and it will help him to rescue that particular astronaut on the lunar surface. From the name itself, it is very clear. Because now we are planning to have a human landing on the Mars or make a human space station on the, not Mars, human station on the moon. And in fact, Chandrayaan-2 was supposed to be helping in that. But however, unfortunately, Chandrayaan-2 was not very successful. Okay. Then is Punch mission. Punch full form is polarimeter to unify the corona and the heliosphere. Now your homework is to the different layers of the sun, the corona, the heliosphere, right? Different layers of the sun. That is static geography portion. You must do it. So it is by the NASA. Okay, the Punch mission. NASA will take the image of the sun. This is landmark mission that will image the regions beyond the sun's outer corona. Okay, sun's outer corona, that it will take the images of the sun's outer corona. Punch, which stands for polarimetric, unify the corona and the heliosphere. So it is expected to be launched in 2022, and the more importantly, why it becomes important, because Indian scientists will be co-investor in the NASA's Punch mission. So we'll be co-investing in it, right? So that is Punch mission. The question will come very specific, very shallow. Punch mission is related to what? The more they can ask, NASA or ESA or JAXA or China, something like that, right? So other solar missions, Aditya L1, Parker Solar, we'll slowly try to cover it as we move along. This is only 3rd month we are covering, right? Still, we are trying to cover as much as possible, but over the period of 10 months, okay, we'll try to cover majority of the things. In fact, many of the current affairs from 2018 we'll also cover, right? So that if any question comes from that region, we'll not miss out. So Indian scientists took big co-investor for NASA's Punch mission. Okay, the mission will study the sun using the 4 suitcase-sized microsatellites. Next is Dragonfly mission. So Dragonfly mission is basically towards the Saturn. Okay. So Dragonfly mission from NASA, it will launch in 2016 and the land in 2034. Okay, to fly a drone copter to Saturn's largest moon, that is Titan. Sorry, not Titan. If you remember Thanos from Avengers, so he was from moon Titan, and Mr. Iron Man also went to the Titan in the search of the building blocks of the life. Dragonfly mission. The Titan, that is the moon of Saturn, is the only celestial body besides our planet to have the liquid rivers, lakes, and sea on its surface. Though these contain high methane and the ethane, not water. Okay, so these liquid water and the lakes, they do not contain the water, they are liquid, but they consist of the methane and the ethane, not water. So drone to fly on the Saturn's moon. NASA is sending a dual quad drone to explore the surface of the Titan, Saturn's largest moon, that is named Dragonfly. The mission will search for the hints for the life on the world similar to the primordial Earth, like Earth in a previous form. So in the future, is there any possibility of life on the Saturn? It will think about it. Okay. Next is Curiosity rover, very famous Curiosity rover. So Curiosity rover, NASA on the Mars. NASA's Curiosity rover sample analysis on the Mars has detected the first highest ever level of methane in the course of the mission on the Mars, taken at the uh, Gate crater. That's not too much important. You just need to remember that the Curiosity is of NASA and it is on the Mars. That's it. So what they have detected? They have detected Curiosity's sample analysis at the Mars had detected the highest ever level of methane in the course of the mission in the Mars. Okay, so that is there. Next is the Libra. Libra, you know Libra, now that Facebook cryptocurrency, right? So the Facebook cryptocurrency, why in the news, the Facebook and the other partner released a prototype of the Libra. Libra Association debuted with the 28 members including MasterCard and Visa. So Libra will not be a decentralized system like Bitcoin. Just remember that. So the question can come Libra versus the Bitcoin. Differentiation between Libra and the Bitcoin. Facebook is separately building a digital wallet called Calibra. Okay, so when it comes into the fruition, all this Paytm and Phone Pay, Amazon Pay will have a big competition. So Bitcoin and Libra are both, but basically, and also in the recently Supreme Court set aside an RBI circular or RBI direction that cryptocurrency are illegal in India, but Supreme Court said no, cryptocurrency are that circular has been nullified and Supreme Court has allowed the use of the cryptocurrency. And now that is why these news become highly relevant. Okay, and both Bitcoin and the Libra are based upon the blockchain technology, which refers to the form of the distributed ledger. So from your end, remember, get to know that what is blockchain. It is highly relevant and not centralized of transaction. Libra is initiative of 28 influential corporates. Okay, so the question can come as easy as asking Libra is in the news, why, or what is Libra, right? To the hard as comparison of the Libra with the Bitcoin, nothing beyond it. They just want you to have the knowledge of Libra and on which platform it is based, right? So this is the end of our science and technology portion. Now we will look at the art and culture portion of our discussion. So the first fact we're going to see of art and culture is yoga philosophy. Now it's a part of a static, but we'll keep, because 21st June International Yoga Day, right? So yoga philosophy, it's a sister philosophy of which school of thought? In which philosophical school? That is Samkhya. So I believe that you know all this orthodox school, unorthodox school, right? Orthodox schools are Samkhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshik, and Samkhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Mimamsa, and Purv Mimamsa and Uttar Mimamsa. Uttar Mimamsa means Vedanta. And within Vedanta, we have different Advait Vedant, then Visist Advait, next Dvaitvad, then Dvait Advait. So many different varieties of Vedanta. And you need to know who is the main person associated with the each philosophy. I'm telling you the static content. I'm giving you a window to the static content also. And now UPSC, because they have asked too many questions, that's what I personally believe, that they have asked too many questions on the Buddhism and Jainism. Now they will turn their switch this year or maybe next year to the Indian philosophical schools, Samkhya, Yoga, and they will ask the subtle differences between Samkhya school and Nyaya school, Samkhya school and Mimamsa school. So what are their differences? We'll see Yoga school here. So the word yoga was first mentioned in the Rig Veda. Philosophy, science, grammar was first provided by Patanjali in his Magnus Opus, Patanjali Yoga Sutra. And that is why Patanjali is said to be the central name associated with the yoga philosophy. And this Patanjali Yoga Sutra, in which the steps of the yoga are mentioned. So basically it has the 8-fold steps of yoga. Now how we see yoga, basically the form of exercise, and that is not that. exercise, that is pranayam, is only the fourth stage of it. In fact, we have the yoga of 8 stages of it is there. Just like Ashtangika Marg of Buddhism, we have Ashtanga Yoga. It is said Ashtanga Yoga. And we have 8 stages. One stage preceding, leading to the next stage. That is first starting with Yam. Yam consists of these steps: Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, and Aparigraha. Do you remember any resemblance? Panch Mahavrat of Jainism. Okay. So Yam has these 5 steps. Then Niyam, that is Soch, cleanliness; Santosh, that is containment; Tapas, that is yoga. Okay, test for yoga. That is then Swadhyaya, self-study; and finally the Ishwar Parinidhan. That is, and I don't have to go too much into it. I'm just telling you from the philosophical point of view. Ishwar Parinidhan, that is the meditation of the God. So remember, yoga school accepts the idea of the God, right? I told you that yoga school has the sister philosophy of the, one second, yoga school has the sister philosophy of the Samkhya school. Okay, so within the Samkhya school is, there is no concept of God, right? So there is no concept of the God in the Samkhya school. However, in the yoga school we have the concept of the God. Okay, both we'll discuss. Okay, I'm thinking to cover, because many of the students in this institute also have said that they have some philosophical problems in the different philosophical schools of India. So I've covered the yoga school in this school. In the next class, I'll definitely promise you that I'll cover the Samkhya school, right? And I also tell you the difference between Samkhya and the yoga school, right? So that keep yourself, that is my homework, that I will try to cover the Samkhya school in the next class. So coming to the yoga school, so the first step is Yam, second is Niyam, and third is Asan, that is the position. I is saying the position. Fourth is the Pranayam, the Mr. Our Yog Guru Baba Ramdev, what he does, Pranayam. Next, that is Yaya, that is Pratyahara, that is withdrawal of all the senses. You withdraw all the senses from your body. Okay. And next is Dharan, that is intense focus. After Dharan, we have Dhyan, Dharan, then Dhyan, and from Dhyan, we need to Samadhi, right? Dharan, Dhyan, Samadhi. So, Samadhi is the last step of the Ashtangika Yoga. Okay, Dharan, Dhyan, Samadhi. And see, Dharan, Dhyan, and Samadhi are the things that happen to you and the things you do. The initial 6 stages you do, and the last stages, the culmination of the 6th stage leads to the next stage. All these stages should be seen in a continuum, right? Ashtangika Yoga. Okay. कट है जिष्णु इधर, ये सर बंद क्यों हो गया? Okay, he'll cut. Jishnu. Restart, huh? Okay. Next topic is Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Why it is in news? Because a statue of Ranjit Singh, who ruled Punjab for almost 4 decades, was recently inaugurated in Lahore. And now you also know that Pakistan also has its own Lahore, right? Sorry, Punjab. So Punjab was like divided, just like Bengal was divided, Punjab was also divided. So Ranjit Singh, so a statue has been installed. We'll see that statue also. Good statue. So Ranjit Singh achievement, he overthrew the warring missiles. He belonged to Surya Chakra missile. We'll also have some notes about him. Established a unified Sikh empire after he conquered Lahore in 1799. He was given the title of Lion-e-Punjab, Sher-e-Punjab, because he stemmed the right of the Afghan invaders in the Lahore. Okay, he stemmed the right of the Afghan invaders in the Lahore. The Maharaja were known for his just and the secular rule. Both Hindus and Muslims were given the powerful position in his darbar. So his darbar is inclusive, has Hindu and Muslims, and he took the title of Sher-e Punjab. And when he died, then after him, the Punjab went into the situation of chaos. We have Anglo-Sikh war. One more thing, he also signed the Treaty of Amritsar with the British in 1709. Okay, 1809. Sorry, 1809, not 1709, 1809. Right. So born in 1718, modern day Pakistan. So died in Lahore. Right. So before he was born, the Punjab was divided into different groups, each named it Misl. So Misdal, he was the Surya Chakra. He belonged to Surya Chakra Misl, and uh, he united all this Misl and formed the foundation of the Sikh Empire. Okay, proclaimed himself Maharaja on 1801, and with the conquest of the Lahore. People say that his empire is stretched still up to Kashmir. Okay, this one is not important, his spouse is not important. And this was the statue I was talking about. In the Lahore, it has been established, Lahore statue. Okay, not important. Cause of death, not important. Famous for building an empire, reconstruction of the Golden Temple, Amritsar, and owning a Kohinoor diamond, religious toleration. We have discussed that, right? So this much is relevant for Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Later on, more information you should get in your complementary static revision, that is modern history. It starts from 1750 onwards. Next is Kolhapuri Chappal. Now Kolhapuri Chappal, you know, it's a GI thing, right? More importantly, Maharashtra everybody knows, but it is also the Karnataka, and this is what I wanted to mention about here. Chappals are famous. So approval for GI was jointly received by Karnataka and Maharashtra recently for making these chappal. The perception these artisans from Maharashtra alone, but the large number of them from Karnataka. So remember, it is also from the Karnataka. Okay, because we can miss out on that. Next is Uttam Thullal. That is a dance and the poetic performance of the Kerala. It's a dance and the poetic performance of the Kerala. Now from the mask itself, you can see it is the similar to the Kathakali, one of the classical dance of the Kerala. Origin, it was introduced in the 18th century by the Kulchan Nambiar, one of the three famous Malayalam linguistic poets. This is what you have to remember. So one of the three important Malayalam linguistic poet, it was introduced in 18th century. That's all. Performance, it is accompanied by the percussion instruments such as mridangam and idikka. Mridangam is you must have seen this. I should have kept the pictures here. Like this is a mridangam, and idikka, drum, and the cymbal. Cymbal you must have seen, big things, and they make a sound. So that is cymbal. So it is inspired by the Natya Shastra, the treatise written by the sage Bharat, and borrowed the concept of costume and makeup from the Kathakali. You can see the people are not mere spectator involved; they are involved in the performance itself. Right? This much is important. More important, it belonged to Kerala. It has a resemblance with the Kathakali, not Mohiniyattam. Mohiniyattam is also from the Kerala. Right? It started in the 18th century by the one of the Malayalam language poets, and accompanied by the Mridangam and the Idikka. Okay. Next is Sadikpur Sinoli. Now Sadikpur Sinoli, it's basically in the UP. Why it is been in the news? Because it is a potential to be declared a site of the national importance. Okay. Located in the left bank of the Yamuna. Located on the left bank of the Yamuna. Okay. So it's an ancient site with chariot, sword, and other objects pointing to the presence of the warrior class around 4,000 years ago. Okay. So that's why it is in the news. So in an official statement about the excavation earlier, ASI has said it is 68 kilometers from the Delhi. Okay, so in the bank of the Yamuna itself. The remains of the 4 furnace found and sword, all these found. So it goes to show the presence of the warrior class. Okay. Next is Chaukhandi Stupa. Chaukhandi Stupa. So where it in the Sarnath in the UP it is found. It has been declared as declared as national importance by the Archaeological Survey of India. But this area, it has been added by the Mughals. So originally stupa is to be built by the Emperor Ashoka. That octagonal tower at the top is the Mughal monument built in 1588 to commemorate the Humayun's visit. Okay. Now we see, just one second here, some details. So the above portion was built by the Akbar in to commemorate his father's Humayun visit to the site. So remember, it is not the Humayun who built it. It is the Akbar who has built it. Okay, the stupas are really the favorite of UPSC, I'm telling you. So you need to remember, because this is recently declared as the monument of the national importance. Okay, next is, I just kept some static information for you. The chronology of the stupa, how can you remember it? So major stupas mentioned in your textbooks. Okay, first is in the modern period, we some stupa, some post-modern period, and the Gupta period. So in the modern period, we see Sanchi stupa and the Piparvaha stupa. In the post-modern period, we see Barhut stupa, and the Toran was added to in the Sanchi stup. The Toran was added in the post-modern period. What is Toran? Torans are basically the huge gateways. This is a temple, and this is a temple, and the premise, this is the Toran. This is temple, and this is Toran. In the Gupta period, we have the stupa of Dhamek stupa in the Sarnath. So remember, the timelines are really important. Okay, because they can confuse you by giving the Dhamek stupa built in the modern time. Now, we only remember, many a time we tend to forget. Apart from Sanchi, we don't remember anything. So also remember the timeline. That is how you can differentiate between different stupas. One more advice I'll give you in art and culture: try to make as many maps as possible. It will really help you to retain, because art and culture, the main problem is of the retainability. Next is Thulla Bharam. So Tula Bharam we have seen in the last class itself, last art and culture class, right? So Tula Bharam, the Mr. Modi has this flowers being sent, and he has donated these flowers. So it's a Hindu ritual. A person is weighed against the commodities such as flowers, grains, fruits, similar articles in the temple, equal to the value and the quality of the quality is offered as the donation. Okay, Tula Bharam. Next is Kapu community. The question will be asked in the prelims only with respect to Kapu community belongs to which state, and that is Andhra Pradesh. That's it. Nothing more will be asked. Okay. So it refers to the social grouping of the agriculturalist found primarily in the southern Indian state of Andhra Pradesh. So what you need to remember, why they basically they are in use, the demand of the reservation. Why the demand of the reservation? They are traditionally relatively well off cost. However, the decline in the agriculture, okay, less jobs in the administrative services, the representation, now they are demanding the reservation. So Andhra Pradesh to include the Kapu community in the OBC with the 5% quota, right? So if they are in OBC, they will get the advantage of the reservation, isn't it? Next is Buddhic relic unearthed in the Andhra Pradesh village. So relic of 3rd century AD, 3rd century AD has been found. A Buddhic relic has been unearthed on the right bank of the Gundala Kamma river in the Andhra Pradesh. It is carved with half lotus medallion at the center and the top portion of all the 4 sides. Okay, so this is the relic which has been found. It has the Amravati influence of the Amravati school of art can be seen of the Ishwaku times, right? The pillar card in the Ishwaku times were earlier noticed inside the Shiva temple in the Manikeshwaram temple. This much is not important. You just need to remember the relic has been found in which dynasty? Ishwaku dynasty. Now Ishwaku dynasty, I will not explain here because that's part of your ancient history and medieval history. So you need to remember the Ishwaku dynasty, different factors related to it, different facts related to it. So these so many Buddhist monuments are found in the Andhra Pradesh. You can see a lot of this rocket monastery, large monastery, stupas, rock edicts and all these, right? If you want to see, you can pause the video and see this, but this is too much. This much you cannot remember. Coming to the Amravati, so in the static, you must be doing Amravati versus the Gandhara versus the Mathura school. So one of the feature of the Amravati school which differentiates from Gandhara and Mathura is the narrative art. There is no single sculpture of Buddha, just like in the Gandhara and the Mathura, the single Buddha is carved. However, here in the Amravati, the narrative stories are there based upon the Jataka stories. Okay. Ishwaku dynasty ruled from 227 to 306, and this is the area similar to Andhra Pradesh. Right? Next is we'll see some of the festivals, that is Ambubachi Mela, Assam. Ambubachi Mela, that is in the Assam. Okay, so this Mela is basically in the Kamakhya temple. It's a 4-day festival. It's an annual festival held in the Kamakhya temple on top of the Nilanchal in the Guwahati. So in the city of Guwahati itself. Okay, on the bank of the Brahmaputra. In fact, the festival takes place when the Brahmaputra is at its peak. At its peak. In the June itself, you can see, because of the monsoon, Brahmaputra flow is really high, but still a lot of people gather for the festival itself. Okay, now Kamakhya temple is one of the 51 Shakti shrines representing the different body of the Shiva's consort Sati. It is considered one of the primary seat of the Tantric cult. Okay, primary seat of the Tantric cult. So a lot of Tantricism is practiced there. Okay, temple is believed to be the site where the Hindus deity Sati's womb and the genital fell. Now there is a mythological story that Sati, the different parts of the Sati went to the different parts of the area. Not different temples are there, right? So one of the temple where her womb and her genital fell, that is her yoni fell, the female genital, that is the Kamakhya temple. And there this yoni, the female genital symbolized by the rock, is placed in the sanctum sectorium of the temple. Sanctum sectorium must be knowing the central of the temple. During the 4-day event, it is believed that the presiding goddess of the temple, Devi Kamakhya, goes through her annual cycle of the menstruation. Okay, the menstrual cycle. So she goes through the menstrual cycle, and the blood can be seen from her genital parts. Like this, this was the belief. So you can see the picture here. Okay, and the people also will the offerings, the prasada, that is taken by the red cloth. It is believed that the red color is taken by the blood of the goddess itself. It is considered very lucky and very pious by the people. So it is the Kamakhya temple. Location, these are the location, different location. Kamakhya location you can see here. We see in the Assam the location of Kamakhya. Here is the location of Kamakhya. Brahmaputra, on the bank of the Brahmaputra, Guwahati. Different facts. So as I told you, in the monsoon, it is a mighty river are there, right? And just 1 second. Yes. Goddess is considered to be extremely powerful. They're cleansing and revitalizing the entire earth, which in practice is her body herself. So the earth is realized as her body. She is cleaning herself, and by which she is also sanitizing the whole earth. The main attraction of the devotee is the unique prasad or the offering to the deities that comprises of the small bit of red color cloth, supposedly moist with the menstrual fluid of the goddess Kamakhya. Okay. Next is Mela Kheer Bhavani in the Jammu and Kashmir state. The Kheer Bhavani Mela is starting on the Kheer Mela Bhavani. Basically, it's a festival celebrated by the Kashmiri Pandits in Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, the big story of Kashmiri Pandit. Recently, a movie also came on them. Okay, so basically, it is one of the religious functions on the displaced community of Kashmiri Pandit who fled their homes for their life in 1990s. It was held in the famous Ragna Valley temple in Jammu and Kashmir. Not too much important. Just need to remember, if the question comes on these topics, very tough topics to remember, right? If the question comes, it will be really on the shallow level. Okay. During this, the Kashmiri Pandit visit the 5 other temples of this district. Not important. So you can see the Kashmiri Pandits offering their offerings to the Devi. Next is Chamlial Mela. So Chamlial Mela is very famous because it is celebrated at the Chamlial border. You can see. Okay, so fair takes place at the shrine of Baba Dilip Singh Manhas, a saint popular known as Baba Chemial in the Samba district. You can see the location at the border. Okay, so the saint name Baba Dilip Singh Manhas, a saint popular known as Baba Chemial in the Samba district. This is particularly done. Okay. So it is a 320-year-old Chemial Mela celebrated on both the sides of the international border, has been very popular since November 2003 after the guns became silent on the border. So if you know the Kashmiri violence, 1980s started, 1987 it started with the election, rigged election. Then from 2000s it started going down in the later part of Atal Bihari and finally the Manmohan Singh regime. Then again from 2014 Kashmir is on the boil. So this is the cycle. Okay. So Chemial Mela become victim of the Indo-Pak hostility. For the 2 years, Pakistani have not participated in this particular Mela. Okay, so we have done our art and culture portion. I believe that we have done in a very comprehensive manner. In art and culture, as I told you, I'll try to cover Samkhya philosophy. I cannot promise you all the philosophy, but I will definitely cover Samkhya philosophy in the next class. Okay, whatever is in textbook, because if you go into the philosophical domain, then that will be too much. But I'll try to cover the Samkhya philosophy in the very next class. Okay, now the next topic we are going to see is the defense, and that will wrap up our June current affairs series. Okay. Now the first fact we're gonna see is M777 ultra light howitzer. So what are these? These basically they are the towed artillery guns made of titanium and the aluminum alloys. So what is important that after 1980s we have not inducted any artillery guns, big guns, just like Bofors, right? So this is the procurement of these guns. Do you know what is the Bofors indigenized version of Bofors? Please message me, comment in the comment box. What is the indigenized version of the Bofors that we are producing in our country around? It starts from D, right? So it is inducted into the, so we have bought it from the USA. Mr. Donald Trump was very happy. Inducted into in army under the foreign military sales program for 145 howitzer, 20 imported and rest to be assembled in the India. Range is 24 to 30 kilometer, and this much is not important. Weight is not important. Can be transported from the helicopters. Okay, the Navy helicopter, the Air Force helicopter. So the two have been arrived to M777 howitzer. So minimum range 24 kilometer and all this artillery gun. Okay, it is the only battle proven ultra light howitzer in the world. There are more than this 1000 M777 is in the service worldwide. Okay, the US, Canada and Australia use M777 extensively. A lot of money into the battlefield, right? Okay, next is K9 Vira T self-propelled artillery gun. So that is next artillery gun. We have bought that from the South Korea, inducted into the army. It's another caliber self-propelled artillery gun, range of 40 kilometers. Okay, 100 guns through private sector engagement. We are taking it. So we are growing our arsenal year by year. Not year by year, I'll say, but with these two procurement, we are growing our arsenal. So one is M777 ultralight howitzer. We have discussed everything about it. We are taking it from US. And next is K9 Vajra T gun. Okay, for especially customized for the desert condition. And the defense minister at that time, Nirmala Sitharaman, said these guns being inducted almost 30 years after the Bofors, and the action will give a huge fillip to the power capability of the Indian army, right? And this much you have to remember. Next is Project 75 and Project 75 I will see next. So Project 75 is basically the 6 Scorpion class submarine are being built. Scorpion class are a specific class, basically some specific requirement, and the specific company name, it has a legacy of Scorpion class, right? So we want 6 Scorpion class submarine to be built by the French firm Naval Group, are being built by the Mazagaon Dock Limited in the Mumbai. Okay, so Project 75, we'll see about Project 75 also. So first is NS Kolveri, then Kanderi, then Karanj. Okay, it's under construction. It's a part of the 30-year submarine building plan that ends in 2030. India has to build 24 submarine, 18 conventional submarine and 6 nuclearly powered submarine, right? So 24 submarines we are targeting, under which 18 will be conventional and 6 will be nuclear powered. Okay. Next is last 2 submarines are Vagir and the Vakshir, are also advanced stage of the manufacturing. Put together is the place where the 5 separate sections are welded together to form a submarine. Not important. Just remember, if the question comes put together, that means where it is the, just one second, where it is finally assembled, right? So in 1997, you can see here in 1997, Indian Ministry of Defense approved the plan to acquire 24 submarine under Project 75. However, after Kargil war, we decided CCS, we have discussed yesterday CCS in the last class, Cabinet Committee on Security, approved 30-year submarine building plan that called for 2 parallel production lines, each constructing 6 submarines. So, 2 parallel production lines. So, first production line will be Project 75, another will be 75I, relatively more advanced than the 75. The older 75 was brought under the new plan. 2 production lines to build Project 75 and 75I using the transfer technology from different foreign manufacturer. Okay. So, India's sinking submarine strength to revive the Navy problem. So, India needs 18 digital electric submarines, 6 nuclear submarines, and 4 nuclear power submarines with nuclear tipped missiles, on which the missiles can be kept on the submarines. Okay. India has only 13 old diesel electrical submarine and 1 INS INS Arihant and INS Chakra. Okay. So, INS Chakra is one of the, that is SSN, that is a nuclear powered attack ship, not with the missile. So, with the missile we have Arihant, right? And we required 4 submarines with the missile. So, from Arihant, which is 1, we are thinking to expand it to 4. Okay. And INS Chakra, these things can come, INS Arihant, INS Chakra. So, INS Chakra is only SSN, that is nuclearly powered attack submarine, SSN. Okay. Next one is SSBN. Okay. So, 6 Scorpion being built at the Mazagon dock under Project 75. Okay. 3 more SSBN after Arihant have been built in the Vizag under the secretive 9000 Advanced Technology Vessel Program. We'll see that later on. Okay. So, this is the submarine portion. Next is Project 75I, the second production line. So, Indian Navy, just one second, Indian Navy project and a follow on the Project 75 Calvary class, the submarine. Calvary was the first submarine under the Project 75. It is approved for 6 advanced submarines, 6 digital electric submarine which will feature an advanced air independent propulsion system. Remember, these are not nuclear. Okay, these are both are not nuclear. They will have advanced air independent propulsion system. Now you remember, we have done that already. Advanced air propulsion system, we have already done that. Worth 40,000 crore through strategic partnership model of the defense procurement procedure. Now the question comes, what is strategic partnership model? So, Indian agency, Indian Navy's Project 75 approved under strategic partnership model. Now we'll see here. So, strategic partnership model, just one second. Strategic partnership model aims to revitalize defense industrial ecosystem and progressively build indigenous capability in the private sector to design, develop and manufacture complex weapon system for the future needs of the armed forces. That is the inclusive role and a very aggressive role of the private sector in the design, develop and the manufacture of the weapon systems. The amplifying guidelines lay emphasis on the incentivization of the price of the transfer of the niche technology and higher indigenous content. Global measures which are in collaboration with the Indian partner ready to take the make India a regional and the global manufacturing hub of the platform. So, they are inviting the global manufacturing people to come in India and manufacture with the Indian people, and we will give you autonomy in everything, right? We will allow 100% FDI under the route, but come in India and make in India, and very big push to the idea of make in India. Okay. Next is BrahMos missile. Okay, so it's a supersonic. It's a supersonic medium range with a liquid fueled ramjet. It's a cruise missile, first of all. It's not a ballistic missile. I think we have discussed ballistic missile. It's not a ballistic missile and the cruise missile. So, in the future classes, I also cover the missile differences also. So, cruise missile is basically the ballistic missile is, if you fire it, it will go up and it will go down. Cruise missile goes like this, right? So, cruise missile that can be launched from the sea, air and land. It has 2 stages, right? It's a surface launch missile we can carry only, that's not too much important, and manufactured in Hyderabad by BrahMos Aerospace, a joint venture between DRDO and Russia's agency, just like India's DRDO, their agency. So, it successfully test fired from Odisha's Chandipur. Now, here we'll see some of the details. So BrahMos is a two-stage missile. Just one second. BrahMos two-stage missile, okay, with a solid propellant boost engine that gives the that reaches to the supersonic speed. Then it gets separated. So the first stage, the solid stage, get separated and it gives push to the supersonic speed. The liquid ramjet or the second stage then takes the missile closer to the 3 Mach speed in the cruise shape. So second is the first, the solid, then the liquid. Solid gets out and the liquid one takes it to the next part. Okay, the missile has a flight range of 290 kilometer because of the MTCR regulation. Now we become part of the MTCR. Now it's this range can be increased to the 700 to up to 700. Okay. Next is it operates on the principle of fire and forget principle, adopting varieties of flights on its way to the target. That's much. Its cruising altitude could be up to 15 kilometer and the terminal altitude as low as 10 kilometer. That is from the surface. So 15 meter from the surface, 15 kilometer from the surface, and finally it can go as low as 10 meters to the surface. And being close to the surface is a tough part for a missile, right? Anything come in between, it will blast or it will do something. So if it is so close to the surface, then it becomes a key feature of the particular missile. The BrahMos is the form of Brahmaputra. That's a very easy thing. Brahmaputra and the Russian river of Moskva, Moskya. Okay, you can see Moscow is on the bank of the Moskova. Okay, Moskova. It's not YAVA. Moskova river, Brahmaputra and Moskova river. So Moskova river on which the Moscow is there. One very famous river of the Russia is the Volga river. Okay. Next is JL-3. So what is JL-3? It's a Chinese ballistic missile. It's a Chinese ballistic missile. China has successfully tested its latest submarine launched ballistic missile. So they can launch the ballistic missile from the submarine itself. So strengthening their navy as they venture into South China Sea and all these things, right? So JL-3 is the China's latest submarine launched ballistic missile under development that is expected to reach target farther away with the higher accuracy. And these developments scare the other people, then they go into arms race. Who says that arms race is over? Every country is utilizing too much money into their defense things. Next is Varun Astra. So from the name itself, it seems like it's an indigenous thing. Varun Astra. It's an anti-submarine electric torpedo by DRDO. Indigenously built, you can see the Varun Astra. It is the one of the 8 countries to have the capability to design and build such system. Okay. So that is an indigenously made. So these are the missiles. Now we'll discuss some of the institutions. First is NATGRID, institutions and initiative. That one is NATGRID. So NATGRID, very famous logic is very easy. What they are saying, first we'll read it out, then we'll discuss. So NATGRID is an integrated intelligence master database structure for counterterrorism purpose. Okay, so it will connect the database of various core security agencies under the government of India, collecting the comprehensive patterns procured from 21 different organizations, can be readily accessed by the security agency around the clock. Very easy. So basically what they're saying that the data, there are many agencies which have the data of the people and some of the agencies which need the data, the intelligence agency. So NATGRID will be a platform from which this data will go to these agencies, right? And actionable intelligence will go to this. It came into existence, the idea came into existence after 2008 Mumbai attack, where we were not able to get the actionable intelligence so as to falter the plans of the terrorists and attached to the Ministry of Home Affairs. The government in India 2016 appointed an Ashok Patnaik as the chief executive of this. Okay, this is next is, yeah. So in February 2020, the announcement has been the NATGRID with all the requirements should be operable, completed by the March 2020. And that is why becomes really relevant for your prelims and mains as well. The whole master plan is to go live by end of this particular year, 2020. It is accessible to the authorized people from the 10 security agencies on a case-to-case basis. Okay, from the terrorism. Just one second. Yes. So basically what it is, you see, these agency will get the access of the data. These agencies like Department of Revenue Intelligence, Intelligence Bureau, RAW, right? CBI, Financial Intelligence Unit, CBDT, and all this. And they will get the information from these companies, internet service provider, telecom companies. These will provide the data to these. The user agencies can send a request to receive data from 24 information providing agencies. So NatGrid will be a platform. From this, the data from these 21 agencies will go to this around 10 agencies of the government. Now the problem is, what are the challenges to the NatGrid? The privacy challenges, the data storage challenges, the cyber security challenges, right? Information, so much data at one place. If it is hacked, then so these are the challenges that the central has to ensure. But the Amit Shah says that it will be ready by the early 2020 and operational by December 31, 2020. It will be ready to use. It will be really key to our intelligence architecture. Next is National Security Guard. So they are also known as the black cats. Okay. So just one second. So counter-terrorist and the counter contingency force formed in 1986 following the assassination of the Indira Gandhi and the Operation Blue Star and Akshardham incident also. It's an elite urban anti-terrorist and anti-hijack force. Okay. For example, anti-hijacking happens. Okay. So these National Security Guard will be pushed. They have the training and the capacity. Doesn't have the cadre of its own or direct recruitment. Instead, the personnel sent on the deputation from army on the central armed force. That means there is no recruitment to this particular. There is no recruitment to this particular National Security Guard. Rather, people from this police or army, central armed, not police, central armed forces and the army who are really good. Those people are picked up and then they are trained for the National Security Guard, right? You can see now they are saying that the NSG must have its own air wing. Panel suggests the center, especially for the, for example, in the hijacking cases. So there you can see the black cats, too much very efficiently trained. So again, just to reiterate, NSG is the, because this much information is sufficient for you. NSG is the, what we have discussed is SPG, Special Protection Group amendment that we have discussed already, right? For the, that was for the prime ministers and the dignitaries. So this is NSG, is an elite counter-terrorism unit that under Ministry of Home Affairs. It's raid 1984 following Operation Blue, Akshardham temple attack and the assassination of Indira Gandhi for combating the terrorist activity with a view to protect state against the internal disturbances. NSG is under the Ministry of Home Affairs and categorized under the CAPF, Central Armed Police Forces. It has a special force mandate. Its core operational capabilities provided by the Special Action Group that is drawn from the Indian Army. Okay, they are also known as the black cats. That's it. Next is CCTNS. Really, just like a NatGrid, another good initiative, but taken at the level of the police. The NatGrid is taken at the level of the intelligence level. This is more at the level of police, but this will also give a lot of intelligence. So why in the news, Maharashtra government has decided to upgrade the entire CCTNS project following the complaints of the glitches in the system. So origin of it lies in the 2009 aftermath of Mumbai 26/11 attack. 26/11 attack had a really great impact on our intelligence architecture, especially. We have NIA, we have NatGrid, we have CCTNS, right? And other things also. Objective, improving the policing and the criminal justice system through e-governance. Through e-governance, we improve our policing and the criminal justice system. Nodal agency will be NCRB, National Crime Record Bureau. Project timelines, if we see, first 2000 in 2009, 2015. In the 9, they started with the slow things. Then they have done one part, then they move on the next part. So in the first part, they have developed a core application software in the each. They've deployed this core application software. So, for example, integration of this FIR, Challan, interlink all police station to create a central database by applying a core application software. Next, they form an interoperable criminal justice system, that is connecting the police system with e-courts, e-prison, forensics, prosecution, fingerprints of criminal to improve the criminal justice system. That is ICGS, Integrated Interoperable Criminal Justice System, Interoperable Criminal Justice system. Okay. Next is in 2017, a digital police portal launched under CCTNS to enable citizens to register FIR online and to offer 7 public delivery services like address verification, employment, tenants, loss and found, and all this in 2017. Okay. Now, objective of CCTNS, the processing of FIR investigation, documents and charge sheet in the common software, integration of police station and national data center through a single network. You get the point, right? For example, one police station is in UP and one police station is in Kerala. So if they are connected to CCTNS, when FIR is registered against a person in UP, is the Kerala police has also access to that particular information. So that person, for example, comes for a getting a rent up in a place in Kerala. So they have to run the police verification. So in the police verification, they can pick it up. So then a one miscreant from one place should not take the advantage of the loopholes of the system. Okay. Also the example of the cooperative federalism also, isn't it? Next is National Defence Fund. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi approved the major changes in the. We have already discussed in a bit. We have discussed National Defence Fund, but just formally we are discussing. So why in the news? Basically, one of the schemes done by the Mr. Modi under this National Defence Fund, that is Prime Minister Scholarship Scheme. Some major changes have been approved. For example, scholarship has been increased and all this. This is not important. So just remember, under the National Defence Fund, some scholarship was given and the price has been increased from 2000 to 2500 to 250 to 3000 for the month for the girls. Extend now this one important. This scholarship is being extended to the wards of the state police official who are martyred during the terror or the Naxal attack. Okay, who are under the terror or the Naxal attack, they have been included. So Ministry of Home Affairs will be the nodal ministry. Background. So it was set up in 1962, National Defence Fund, to take take charge of voluntary donations. So the voluntary donations that were coming in, okay. So National Defence Fund will have that for promotion of national defence effort to decide on their utilization, being used for the welfare of the members of the armed forces, paramilitary, railway protection and their dependents. Now the police also. Administered by the executive committee with the Prime Minister chairman and the Defence, Finance and the Home Minister as the members. Okay. Next is Cyber Coordination Center, that is CyCord. CYCORD, CyCord. So Minister of State of Home Affairs informed the Rajya Sabha about the CyCord, the Cyber Coordination Center portal. So important, right? Cyber security is really important for your mains and the prelims, these small initiatives. So launched by the Prime Minister of India in the December 19 at the 2018 in the DGP IGP conferences. The prime objective is to provide to the law enforcement agency and the other stakeholders to collaborate and coordinate their efforts to resolve a cyber crime and the cyber related issue like sharing case studies, research finding, experience sharing, formulation of research program, finding solution to the complex cyber issues. So Cyber Coordination Center. Okay. So government to set up a Apex Cyber Crime Coordination Center. Okay. Next is some green initiatives taken by the Navy and Navy. First is Indian Navy Environmental Conservation Conservation. So formulated by Indian Navy towards achieving the goal of clean and the green Navy. Under this program, numerous policy aimed at reduction of energy consumption, environment, and all these will be taken. What you need to remember, if the question this comes, environmental conservation, like from the name itself, it's very clear. Indian Navy Environmental Conservation, isn't it? So not too much. So Indian Navy, R is for roadmap, conservation roadmap, has formulated specific plans for the gamut of maintenance of the infrastructure and community living. Second initiative is Go Green campaign. This can be asked. Okay. So this Go Green campaign by the Indian Navy, okay, Go Green campaign includes the awareness drive and the campaigns and other projects like installation of the solar power plant. Go Green campaign can be asked. The previous wala, so it's because the itself is mentioning the Indian Navy and the environmental conservation, so not too much important. Where there is a ambiguity, then only the UPSC asks the question. Okay, the Indian Navy steams ahead with this Go Green plan in the eco-friendly push. Okay. Next is Operation Sunshine 2. First, before the background is basically the northeastern states. One of the problem faced by the northeastern state is the problem of the Myanmar. because many of the insurgents make their base in the Myanmar, and they use that base to carry out their insurgent activity in the India. So Operation Sunrise is for example, that's one of the case of NSCN-K, Kaplang. Okay. So by the armies of India and the Myanmar, it will target several militant group operating in the Manipur, Nagaland and the Assam. The first phase of Operation Sunrise was conducted in the February 2019 along the Indo-Myanmar border. Okay. So Indo-Myanmar joint operation to destroy the military camp in the northeast, right? All the militancy, all the insurgency part of the northeast, you must be knowing Naga insurgency, Manipur issue, Assam, Bodoland, but it is mainly Myanmar border. Government also conducted a hot pursuit. Remember when the call for the surgical strike on the Pakistan, similar on that time only, 5 months here and there, the hot pursuit was also taken by the Indian Army on this front, on the Myanmar front. Pakistan is so much in news, that is why we miss out in these things. And also UPS has already asked question on the hot pursuit and surgical strike in the mains. Next is Operation Safed Sagar, the code name assigned to the Indian Air Force in acting jointly with the ground troops during the Kargil war. Okay, so code name assigned to the Indian Air Force in acting jointly with the ground troops during the Kargil war. And they are saying, the point is, so remember Safed Sagar, 1999 Kargil war. Okay, so the overall operation was known as Operation Vijay. It was the first large-scale use of the air power in the Jammu and Kashmir since 1971. During the 1971 war, we had a scale of this air force. After 1990, after that 1919, 1999, and after that Balakot strike. Okay, IF tribute to the Kargil war martyrs. Next is Operation Sankalp. So Operation Sankalp is in the news because Indian Navy has reassured Indian flagged vessel that the problem going on in the Gulf, and if you have any problem there, we will help you out. So operating and in transiting through the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. Here, in the backdrop of the deteriorating security situation in the Gulf region, the post-attack on the merchant ship in the Gulf of Oman in the June, Indian Navy has commenced the maritime security operation of code name Operation Sankalp in the Gulf region on June 19 to ensure the safe passage of the Indian flag vessel transiting through the Strait of Hormuz. It is in the coordination, it is in the idea of India being the first responder and also as the net security provider, showcasing our capability in the seas, right? Fighting against the piracy and all these things. So it is this reason. The map you should know is Strait of Hormuz, this is Persian Gulf, this is Gulf of Oman. So Gulf of Oman, Persian Gulf because Persia, okay? Iran and all these places were called the Persia in that time. Next is Operation Bandar. Bandar, I should say, not Bandar. Bandar is monkey in the north, we call it. Okay, it's Operation Bandar. So Balakot airstrike has been renamed. A code name was given the Operation Bandar, or however they wanted to tell it. Okay, so Balakot location, if we see, just one second, Balakot location you can see here. And that is why Indian government says that we cross the LOC, because LOC India, according to India, is this, the Indian border is this. Okay, for Pakistan, the problem was here also. They consider it as Azad Kashmir, capital at Muzaffarabad. Okay, over with Gilgit Baltistan. So Operation Bandar, code name of Balakot strike. Okay, so no specific reason in the choice of the name. So it was asked that why then this name is given. Say this, there could have been other reason. There could have been anything, and this has been code name as Operation Bandar. So we have now many operations in the news. Operation Kaila Muller we have discussed. Operation Bandar, Operation Sankalp. So question can be asked on these lines. Next is identification friend or foe system. Very easy. So how you will identify your, for example, some aircraft is there in the sky, how will you identify that's a friend or a foe? Very easy. You have some radars, you will have some system on the ground which will capture the identification and it will be communicated to you. So it includes, there are range of the methods used to identify friendly aircraft. This include visual sightings, radio transmission, designated entry and exit points for friendly aircraft, a transponder based system, right? Supersonic aircraft and all these things. So IFF is a transponder based identification device that communicates with the ground radars and exchanges the encrypted codes to indicate that the aircraft is a friendly one and not a foe. Very easy, right? There will be radar, there will be a they will communicate to each other, and they will inform each other that we are friend, not a foe. Very easy. I just wanted to put it there because it was in the news. In the PIB it was given. Next is Kharg Prahar. So Kharg Prahar, one of the major training exercise of the Indian Army itself. Latest edition was taken place in the plains of Punjab by various units and the formation of armies Kharg Corps. Okay. So if the question of Kharg Prahar comes, it's a army's own exercise, right? Next is Garud. So Garud is Indian and the French. Indian French air exercise. Air exercise. Do you remember the other name of the Indian French? We have discussed Shakti. Okay. Now, recently the PIB itself has mentioned the list of all the exercises. Okay, so try to use that document itself, or we will try to include these one in our this framework, because you see, remembering these facts become really tough. So if I have some image associated with it, the flag associated with it, then it's become relatively easy. So culmination of exercise Garuna. Okay. So Indo-French large employment warfare exercise by French Air Force and the Indian Air Force. Okay. So relatively long session. We are trying to cover the facts which we may have missed out in the previous months. That will we keep on doing that. As I told you in the last class also, we don't want to miss out on anything. So we will have the facts and the concepts also. As I told you, Samkhya in the next month I'll cover. Just be with us and we'll try to cover almost everything. What I'll suggest, some students were asking me, sir, what will be the timelines of the classes, how the classes will be uploaded, and sir, we will be able to cover it or not. I'm just saying one thing. First, follow these. If you're following these series for current affair, follow them religiously. Do not need any other some 365 or XYZ courses, because it will give you better outlook. We have 3 series, 3 package deal. I just wanted to explain you. One package we are giving. One is the video thing. Second are the PPTs you will get in the form of the PDFs. I'll provide you the PDF. The first thing is video. Second thing is PPT, and the third thing is the PDF of the monthly. That will have no images, but it will have the facts. So all the combination of 3. We will be releasing this PDF really soon. October month and the November month very soon we will release. We know that we are a bit behind, but how can you use this sources? So first, watch the video once or twice if you're not getting it. Second, revise the PPT, this PPT PDF twice. And finally, read the PDF once and revise this in the final time. So approximately every month, you'll require only 10 hours or 12 hours for every month. So for a 10 months course, 120 hours. If you can give 120 hours, if you give 12 hours a day, you will complete the whole current affair in 10 days, right? It's a good point, you can cover that. Apart from that, in the April month, first week or second week, we'll also give you the compilations, different compilation that will be uploaded in the PDF format on our Telegram channel. We'll upload the links very soon. Okay, and what you will do in between, because our course will end around, I think around May 1st week our course will end. So what will you do? You complete your static syllabus along with it. Don't focus, you say, okay, current affairs will be done by this particular course and the PDF if I revise that. Apart from the other things, you complete your static thing simultaneously. Get very strong in your static thing, current history, culture, geography and all these things. But current affair will take care. Okay. So we have done this particular session. So June current affairs are over. Now we'll move on to the July current affair from the next class. So we covered the 3 months course. Now remaining 7 months are there. Okay. Thank you everyone. Please subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments that how are you feeling about these videos. Thank you.